Welcome back, weary travelers, to the Dead Hours. It's really bright in here. I don't know if I dig it. I am the pumpkin spice flavored demon that comes to haunt you every fall. And I'm delicious, by the way. And your future ghost with the most, Vivian Noir. And joining me today to discuss your favorite topic and mine, ghosts and the hunting of said ghosts. With over 10,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel and growing. He does a lot of urban exploration as well as paranormal investigations. Please welcome Bobby from Southern California Paranormal Crew, or SCPC Ghost. I want to make sure I got that right because I was going to trip over my letters. Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can hear you just fine. Sounds good.
Perfect.
Hello, everybody that is in the chat.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course, absolutely. So, how long have you been doing the paranormal investigation, urban exploration thing?
Probably not very long. Surprising to most people, around 4 years. YouTube 3 years.
Okay.
So not a whole lot of time, but.
So you started the YouTube channel start out as something else then and kind of turned into what it is now?
Yeah. What had happened was I got a job way out in the desert, pretty far from Southern Cal, the general SoCal area. And I got a job right across the street from this old abandoned military base. And the first thing I heard was it's haunted this, it's haunted that. So
cool.
Me and a guy would walk over there every night. And before you know it, it was 3, 4, 5 of us. And we started SCPC, Southern Cali Paranormal Crew. And
that's awesome.
When that didn't work out and everybody, 2 guys got girlfriends, another guy had a kid, and another guy just lost interest, it was just me. So, I'm alone most of the time working with other ghost hunting crews in the area. And that's pretty much where it came from. It was originally a ghost hunting crew. And then I got in myself. I got into the urbex thing, and now I pretty much do both. It's about a 50-50 mix.
Yeah, I noticed it's about half and half on your channel, because I did look at your most recent video was an urban exploration of a ghost town in Nevada, actually.
Yeah, Gold Point.
Gold Point, which is super tiny, and it was really cool. Like the stuff that you captured and like the buildings and stuff like that. It's really cool. And that wasn't that long ago. Like you went out there, not what like it was like about a week ago, a couple weeks ago.
No. A lot of times I have other videos. I have a format I like to upload. So if you'll see me at a place 1 week, that video might not come out for 5 or 6 weeks, unfortunately. I like to get it out there as quick as I can, but I also like to, I have a schedule that I stick to. So that was about 5 or 6 weeks back. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very cool though. I mean, the building, like, so the buildings are in amazing condition for being as old as they are.
Right.
Which is really crazy. So how many sites would you say you've investigated total so far?
Total, like actually posting to YouTube? Wow. I mean, maybe 60 or 70. Maybe I'd have to really look, but it's around that number. Yeah.
What would you say has been your most active location that you've encountered so far?
Ooh, man, out here where we're from, there's a lot. I mean, the Colorado Street Bridge in Pasadena seems to be a real hot spot for me. I don't think I've ever had a night where nothing happened. Like there was always something we walked away with that we're just kind of puzzled by.
Right.
Yeah, I'd probably have to say the Suicide Bridge in Pasadena, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
Where a lot of people take their life. Yeah.
I've heard that's a pretty active spot.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a public street, so
Yeah.
they really can't. You know, you could be out there at 3 a.m. if you want, 4 a.m, and they really can't say anything. So
it's pretty cool. Although I imagine it's a little hard, it being a public street, because there is still traffic going by, and you have to like account for noise and you know, people walking around and stuff like that, even in the wee hours of the morning.
Very, very true. Yeah.
So what got you personally, since it's mostly you now, because you said that it started as a crew and it's pretty much down to you solo, but you do work with other teams.
Yeah.
What got you into the paranormal to begin with? Like, was there an incident that happened? Was it just something you were always interested in?
Yeah, there was a situation I had a few times when I was a kid, but one time when I was about 15, I woke up in the middle of the night. It was actually his grandparents' house, and I always remember this night very distinctly because there was a bombing in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Olympics. And that'll kind of age me right there if anybody's wondering how old I am. But yeah, that was like, I want to say 96, 95.
So that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think I might have barely been a freshman or going into I think it was the summer going into high school. So we were partying at this house, and they said it was haunted, and his grandma had just died in the house. I didn't think nothing of it, and something kept waking me up in the middle of the night. And every time I would open my eyes, I would look over towards the kitchen, and that happened about 2 or 3 times, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I was alone in the living room. Everybody had gone to the other side of the house. There was like a couple added rooms. They were, you know, sleeping in there, and there was about 5 of us. And this last time, I remember laying on my back, and I heard the noise, and in my sleep, I remember saying, "Okay, we need to figure out what this is." And mind you, I'm just a kid, right?
Right.
So I slowly opened my eyes, and now I'm awake, and I'm hearing this noise, and it's loud. And I just glance over to the kitchen, and all the wood cabinets above the stove, down below, they were all opening and closing.
Oh,
I saw this with my own eyes, and then on a dime, they just stopped.
Wow.
So that was my very first experience that I had. So
your first experience was basically a poltergeist.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. That's crazy.
A spirit powerful enough to do that to all the cabinets. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And then, you know, did you tell your friends about it later? Did you tell anybody about it the next day? What did they say?
Yeah. I laid there honestly most of the morning, or I don't even know what time it was. And then I remember falling asleep when the sun was coming out. And then they all came out to the living room, and we had donuts, and we're just chilling. You know, we're teenagers. And I remember telling that to my friend, and he said that a couple of his family members had experienced the same thing.
Oh, okay, so he was like, "Yeah, that's something that's happened."
Yeah, I wasn't the first one to experience that. That scared me, but the next morning I was more intrigued. I was more like, I want that to happen again, but I want to catch it on
you like, I want to have a camera next time.
Yeah. So
isn't that neat when it like lines up with something like that, when it's like when you tell that story and somebody's like, I had that exact same thing happen, because then you know it's like it just validates. Absolutely. You're like, okay, I know I wasn't seeing things then.
And you know what, to add to that, I think, and I've said this before in podcasts and interviews, you know, there's a lot of people all across the world, not even America, everywhere. No matter where you're from, everybody has a town they grew up in, and they have that one creepy cemetery or that one abandoned building on the edge of town. You know, what do we do as teenagers? We get in the car on a Friday night. We go in there with flashlights. Every time that would happen, which happened kind of often, one little noise and everybody ran back to the car. And I was the only guy that was like, no, I want to come back.
I want to see what's here.
I mean, an ice chest and some snacks and a better flashlight, you know. Nobody was ever down with me, though. They were like, "Oh, you're crazy."
Everyone just like,
want to know. Like, I want to know. I just want to hear it, you know.
I think that's what separates people that become paranormal investigators from everybody else, because you're the ones that run towards the sounds, right? You run towards the noise.
Yeah.
You go, I want to see what that is, and everyone's like, "We're going to be in the car. Goodbye."
Yeah.
Goodbye.
You know? And it's so weird because every place I've been to, every single one. Whether I had to read the rumors of it online or I heard it from somebody else or it's somebody's house or a business, more than half of the stuff they claim is going on could be figured out and explained. Oh, and it sucks and it hurts me because I don't see paranormal investigators doing that enough.
That's true.
They just kind of go with something, you know, and it's like, well, no, let's dig into this, because I'm all about the truth. I'm not trying to go viral. I'm not trying to, you know, be a little millionaire and millionaire vlogger with the camera. I don't do that. Right. So my motivation is just I want to catch this on film. I want to see it with my own eyes, you know.
So
I want to know.
What's the ratio you would say then of when you go to a location, when you're asked to come somewhere, like how many are like, okay, that was stuff we can't explain and I really don't know what that was, versus like you're able to debunk it? Like, is it like half and half? Is it?
Well, I would say some of it's half and half, but for the majority of the time, I can debunk 60% of it, 70% of it, and a lot of times I've had people get kind of weird with me because they're convinced what they heard. You know, they're convinced. Like, I'll give you an example. A lot of people who live on a corner, you know, they always say they hear voices late at night. Well, this is what investigating. That's the name of what we do. Paranormal investigators.
Right.
You know, I want to see what's up with this. And sure enough, there's usually a bus stop very close to their house.
Right.
And some of these buses, I used to take the bus, you know, some of these buses run up to 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Some of them, not all of them, but the ones closer to LA, they are on busy.
They run pretty late. Yeah.
They run late. So, you know, that's an option. And when they hear that, they're like, no. That's why you send somebody out and say, go sit on that park bench or that bench and just start talking. And when you sit in the house, you can't really tell where it's coming from. So, you know.
So they seem reluctant to want to take that explanation, right?
Yeah.
They seem that they're like convinced that it's haunted. Which is funny, because you would think it'd be the opposite. You think people would be like, oh, thank God my house isn't haunted. Thank God it's just people at the bus stop talking.
Right. Right.
But I think I agree with you on that, whereas there are some channels out there that the investigators that go into places are a little too eager to just go off on like, you know, oh, this is a this is a that, without trying to prove what it might not be first.
Yeah.
You know, I agree.
I don't work with a whole lot of crews because of that. I have to protect my integrity. You know, I do this from the heart. I don't do this for any other purpose. I'm not driven to do this in any other way, you know, and until one day it gets big enough till it turns into a business where I have to run it like a business, I'm still going to take it very seriously and not bend the truth in any way.
I mean, and there's been a lot of that I've noticed that's been popping up lately, especially with some, I won't name the channels, but I'm sure most people here already know that things have been popping up with people being caught faking things or behind the scenes footage and stuff like that. And what is your stance on that sort of thing?
You know, at the end of the day, you have to understand a lot of these big, massive YouTubers that are faking a lot of their evidence. At the end of the day, what I just learned for myself is that I have to give them credit, because you can't pull that off unless you have a really good online camera presence, and people seem to value the character more than what they're doing, and that outweighs it. So I do give them credit for that. You know, I don't think they're lazy. They're putting out content week after week like I am. But when it just comes down to the way they fake stuff, it's so blatant in your face. It's really not worth the breath to try to debunk them. It's just going to get thrown back in your face. At the end of the day, they do what they do. I will never work with them.
Absolutely.
And I've had opportunities. I'm not going to name names, but I've had big fake 3 a.m. challenge, randonautical, Ouija board guys hit me up, and they get offended. You know, oh, you want to do this, you want to do that, and I don't answer, and a real big no with a question mark, and then they block me.
You're like, no, I know. I mean, I do the same thing for anyone that comes on this show. I mean, we had that discussion, and initially, I think when we were going back and forth, I had to review your stuff, because I do that with everyone. You know, I
appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not going to have somebody on the show unless I'm going to put them on the hot seat, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, you want to come on the show, then you're going to have some real tough questions to answer, and it might not be a fun interview for you.
They won't do it.
They won't, though. Yeah, that's the thing, is they won't. So if it's something you're doing for entertainment, then just label it as that. And that's always been my take on it. If you're doing things for entertainment's sake, then just tell people it's entertainment. Don't try to pass it off as something real.
Yeah.
How do
Very
you
true.
find the locations that you do go and investigate? Like, how do you have somebody tell you about them? Do people approach you? Do you go seek them out? Like, how do you find the places?
It's generally a mix, you know. There's a really good website that I encourage everybody to check out. It's all over the U.S. It's called hauntedplaces.org. The Shadow Index, shadowindex.com, I think. And but hauntedplaces.org seems to be pretty good. I have found a lot of places on there to be false stories, just legends, and usually it's through internet, a lot of word of mouth. And sometimes I'll just I'll just look up history. Like, I'll give you an example. Right down the street, I found a big open area in the middle of a Walmart parking lot. Like, you could probably fit a McDonald's on this area, and they've got it all gated off with a really strong metal gate. Like, you can't see in it. It's like a metal fence, padlocked and everything. I always thought that was weird.
That was
I
weird.
looked into it, and sure enough, it's an Indian and United States military burial ground. They had a battle somewhere in this valley,
Wow.
and they just threw all the bodies in there.
Oh,
So,
wow. Just like a mass grave, kind of?
mass grave, exactly. So just
Wow.
keeping your eyes out. You know, sometimes I'll pass a really old historic building, and all abandoned. Nobody's been there in weeks, and I'll go in there and I'll see a historical plaque. Whip out my phone, and I'll come to find out it's 120 years old. You know, stuff like that. So I'll just start doing EVPs. But generally, it's off the internet, word of mouth.
For sure. Do you find that, like, when you look into the history, since a lot of times, you know, these locations, of course, are older locations, they're not recent locations or places that have some sort of history behind them. Do you find that learning the history ahead of time or doing that research ahead of time, do you like to do that? Do you prefer to do that? Or do you feel like it might color results that you get from, like, EVPs and from things like that?
That's a good question. I have randomly come across a place or somebody. I used to have a buddy. I used to have a few friends who rolled with me from time to time. They would just find a spot and say, "We gotta get down." You there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was weird. I heard like a.
It was like interference. That was really weird.
Yeah, it was like a voice.
Interesting.
It was like. Anybody saw or heard that? Comment.
Did
below.
anyone? Yeah, we got some real ears in the channel. So if anybody picked up on that, bookmark it, timestamp it for us.
That's weird. But anyways, getting back to what I was saying, you know, I usually research. I usually want to see what people are experiencing. I like to focus on areas people are having, you know, and a lot of times it's tough because an example, the Suicide Bridge in Pasadena, great place, but it's just saturated with 3 a.m. content, and it's really hard to get your video up there sometimes because, you know, you got to tag really, really, really right, know what you're doing.
Right.
So sometimes I'll see a location and I'll really not want to go because of just the hype around it, all the fake stuff, and I'll go and I'll end up catching something small. So it's like, okay, maybe there's something there, but I wish people wouldn't, you know, claim they got knocked out and dragged away and stuff.
Yeah, and dragged off down the bridge, and like sometimes the claims are, you know, quite out there, depending on, like, you know, how many clicks they're trying to get.
The worst one I saw was a guy attached. He did this little voodoo thing. I mean, people are going to recognize this video if they decide to not like me, because I don't try to drop names. I try to stay out of that. But I saw a video of a guy did a voodoo ritual he read online. They like cut their hair or they spit in a mannequin and then put rice in there, sealed it up, and then he put like a GoPro or something on the mannequin. And wow, the mannequin just magically, from the camera angle, you know, from the shoulder camera, just kind of appears and starts walking, and the doll's looking in the house at the YouTuber guy. And it's like, okay.
Like, if you want to make horror movies, then just make horror movies.
Right. You know?
That's what you're trying to do. Then just do
Disney
that.
Channel stuff. The only question I got for those guys is, how do your viewers watch your videos, you know, on the big yellow bus on the way home from school? Like, how do they keep their phones straight? It's beneath me, but hey, I'm not going to hate because people like that. People like that. People like the fake. They don't want to see average looking guy going in an abandoned place with a spirit box. They want to see the young hip kid, you know, using hip slang words. I'm old, you know, nobody wants to see my ass going to, you know, anywhere. They want to get scared and they want it
like that. Yeah, they want that immediate, like, gratification, and that's not how places work.
You know.
Yeah.
It's an iPhone generation.
Oh, absolutely. That, the story in 140 characters, the Twitter generation. It's like they want it now and like as fast as possible. It's like that's not how investigations work. You could sit there for 6 hours and not get anything, and then right as you're getting ready to leave, that last 15 minutes, things start going crazy. And it's like that's just how it. There's no, you can't schedule. And I've heard people describe it this way before. You can't schedule a ghost. Like you can't. Like you can't. It's going to show up or it isn't. So it's just one of those things. So what's been your most frightening or disturbing encounter that you've had so far?
Okay. One that really, really bugged me out was, and I honestly believe it had to do with these people I was investigating with. I met up with these guys and we went into this old abandoned hospital in the city. And, man, it was just the weirdest night. Just a lot of weird things were happening. Nothing paranormal, but just a lot of signs. Like my inside of me was just telling me, just screw these guys. Can I cuss, by the way?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay,
we're not monetized yet,
okay.
So.
Okay, you'll get there. But we just started like arguing with each other. This guy was trying to be Mr. Zach Bagans. He was trying to tell us how to investigate, and finally had to tell him, man, I'm not going to walk in there without a flashlight. He's like, we're going to get caught. And I'm like, I've been in this location like 30 times. You're talking to somebody who's an expert. Like, we're not going to get, and he just, one thing led to another. Then I started to feel like I was going to throw up. Another guy behind me said, I feel sick. And then we all started feeling nauseous. Didn't see nothing, didn't hear nothing, didn't catch anything. By the time I left there, I just had the most heavy, nasty depression you could think imaginable. Just negative. I wanted to go and burn that building down. Like I was infuriated with it. I hated it. When I got my car and tried to drive away, I was actually going into work. I went to work, I clocked in, and I couldn't do it. Like I just started getting nauseous. I started to feel so depressed that I don't know. I just wanted to be alone. And then I started having thoughts of suicide. Like I actually had thoughts of like, okay, well, like that was an option. Like, how are we going to do it? Do you know anybody who's got pills? Like, I don't even talk to people like that anymore.
Right.
Like, we're going to get some pills and we'll just get some vodka and go lay down. And as soon as those thoughts came into my mind, I was like, whoa. So all I really did was I burned a little sage and I started praying. I started quoting every Bible verse I could remember from my younger days when I was in school. And I started screaming at this thing, get away from me, you have no right. I felt better. I went home, and to validate that it was paranormal, for me at least, people can take it as they may, the next morning, all behind my shoulders, like where you would get a massage, whether that be your traps, right there and all down my back was so sore. It felt like I ran a marathon and then got run over by a truck. It was just intensely sore. Wow. I had that tunnel vision, like I'd been taking Tylenol PM or something. And I was just like, for 2 days, I didn't go to work and I just slept.
That's insane.
Like it just drained the shit out of me. That was probably the most intense. And that was a moment where I just kind of sat back like, wow, like you're really doing this for real. Like, are you, kind of like asking myself, questioning, like, is this what you want to do? Right. And after a while, I got the courage and I still go back in that building. I just, I'm very cautious.
Just very protective cautious of yourself before you go in. I imagine when you have something like that happen.
I believe in a prayer system. I have a very strong prayer system, and whoever rolls with me and people who've hung out with me and investigated with me, they know I believe very strongly in an intro. Sometimes I forget that, but I never forget the exit prayer. Okay. I ask God to just come and protect us from anything. And then I address any spirits. If you're in here, if you're in my car, you cannot stay. I like to use the word, the name of Jesus. That's, I'm not Christian or I'm not hardcore or anything, but I do believe in God and Jesus Christ. I always use that. In the name, in the blood of Jesus Christ, you cannot follow me. You have to stay. Bye. And I drive away from the location. That was the only night I didn't do that. Isn't that weird?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That was the only night. And you've been back there since, but have not had anything like that happen since because you've done these protective things.
I've been close, though. I've been walking through there and just randomly got nauseous, like I wanted to dry heave, and I'll just walk away from that area.
Do you know any background of that location as to anything that may be causing that sort of negative energy? Or
it's a whole history. It was an old military base, from 1941. So a lot of these it saw like every war up until the Persian Gulf. which was the early 90s.
Right.
So, I could imagine that energy, people's loved ones not coming back. They used to send personnel and bombers to Korea, France, Germany, Vietnam was a big one.
Yeah.
They had a whole school for a certain type of jet there. But other than that, unfortunately, the military thought it was a good idea to bury pesticides, jet fuel in the ground, and now it's still toxic. Nobody wants to rebuild because it's just too costly. So I've met people online before, and I DM'd them. I saw a story, and there are people that are around my age or older that are still getting checks from the government because they have cancer or they can never have kids. So it's very contaminated. Wow. So I think there's a lot of angry spirits in that whole property. It's a massive place.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. 100%. I guess it's just a tragic, locations associated with tragedy do tend to have sometimes that negativity that attaches to them, like hospitals. You see that a lot with hospitals or jails or prisons or things like that.
Yeah.
So what's the most compelling piece of evidence that you've captured on an investigation so far?
Oh, man. God, there's so many of them. Recently, we were at an old schoolhouse built in 1906.
I have that video pulled up.
You have the video, yeah. And
that's one clip we're going to watch.
Anomaly. I had one guy, a friend of mine, I never met him, but War Party Paranormal, I think you interviewed him.
I did.
He was the only one who was on the fence with it. He's like, I think it's dust. And I thought about it, and I was like, he might be right. But I posted it anyways because I feel strong that it's not dust. Who knows? There's no experts in this field. We're all just learning. But this thing was weird. You saw that, right? It was like just this.
I did. That's one of the clips that we're going to show later because that was one that I was like, okay, we have to show this one because I've seen, because a lot of people, like you said in the video, a lot of people are quick to claim that, oh, it's an orb, but it's usually if something's round, it could be dust. It's a dust or a bug or something like that. But the way that moved was not.
It was inconsistent with the other dust particles in the room, so
that were floating around. So you could see other dust things floating around, or like dust and stuff like that. But that was not how that moved, because it like moved on its own. So
weird,
it's very strange. It's very strange. But that is a location that's in my stomping ground around here. So
where do you live again?
Las Vegas. So I'm not too far from
that.
Yeah.
The next time you go, DM me. I've got a lot of abandoned locations too. I don't know if I've been putting out a lot of Nevada stuff. I found 2 brothels down there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, one of them was just full of clothes, both dating back from the 50s and the 60s. Really old brothels.
That's the old brothels were really cool. There's a lot of them. There's a
lot of them. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
So that one, that evidence, we're going to watch that in a little bit. But like, what do you feel is the most compelling thing that you could show a skeptic to prove that maybe go surreal?
As far as video evidence, that would be the strongest one. One of my most recent uploads. But excuse me, to show a skeptic, I think I would probably have to show him some stuff I've caught through a SB7 spirit box. I like to run my spirit box backwards at about 150 or so. I take the antenna out just to ensure if any broadcasters or, sports channels come through.
Picking up any radio band.
Picking up anything. And I always tell people this because I see a lot of paranormal investigators, very amateur, not a lot of experience. They'll hear like a radio frequency and they'll be like, oh my God, it said my name and my social security number. Like, no, dude, we're looking for, if any of you investigators are watching, don't get offended, but what you're looking for is clear, relevant answers directly in response to your questions.
Absolutely.
Because how can you ask a question when it's going backwards, and somebody responds to you in a sentence, clear as day? You can't explain that. And,
especially when it's multiple words and like you said, when it's an intelligent response, not just like, one word is nice sometimes when it's a relevant response, but when it's multiple words, that's when it's definitely something,
Definitely. And the same voice coming through, a female or a male, same voice.
Repeated voice. The same voice over and over. For sure. That's definite one. Have you ever taken a skeptic on an investigation with you, and would you do that?
Can't remember. Most definitely. People have an open mind to it. unless the guy's gonna belittle what I'm doing or mock what I'm doing and I'm filming for the channel. That's the only time I'll probably get pissed. But if a skeptic wants to roll with me, he's more than likely to chill out and follow us. Yeah.
And definitely more. Yeah. It's funny because I've asked that of other people before as well. And they're like, yeah, they're usually the ones that end up freaked out the most at the end.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff that they can't explain, you know, for sure. So do you find yourself ever getting scared on an investigation?
Of course. There are times where I've been alone, and this is something people heard me say too. If you ever meet a ghost hunter or a paranormal investigator who says that ghosts don't scare them, they've never been scared, either one, they're full of shit, or number two, they haven't reached that level of an experience yet. And once you do, man, you know, it's a reality check. It's like, okay, wow, okay, we're doing this for real. Like something big happened. I'm seeing this. Okay.
Well, especially considering the experience that you relayed, that sort of thing would be like, okay, yeah, I don't want to experience that again. Yeah. That's pretty terrifying.
And being alone when you're doing it is
absolutely
creepy too. I've been in cemeteries where I heard somebody walking behind me on cement, like running up, and I'm expecting a jogger or someone to attack me. I turn around, there's nobody there. That'll jolt you really well. That'll jolt you real good.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah, like, okay.
That was a thing. That just happened.
Yeah.
So you've talked about investigating. So do you get often asked to investigate private residences, like people's homes? Do you ever get asked to do that? Or something you're open to?
Not so many homes, but a lot of businesses. I don't know if you ever heard of the city of Upland.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the next county outside of LA. It's a small community, really nice place. I did one video there, and it was just a chain reaction. I ended up doing 1, 2, 3, 4. I ended up doing 5 videos on that little street. And although I have a little historian friend, he's called Jerry James, Ontario History Vlogs, and every time I find a building in his area, I ask him about it, and he gets back to me with facts and stuff. And he tells me almost all those buildings are over 100 years old. So,
wow.
Yeah. So in that area, when I go to another area, I'll have somebody else see that and say, hey, I have a business up the street. So I would say a lot more businesses than homes.
More businesses.
I'm really down to investigate someone's home, especially if they need some help or answers, you know?
Is that something you would be comfortable doing? Would be like if they needed help maybe getting rid of a spirit or something, would that be something you would be?
Now, you see, in my experience, I always tell people this, you know, I'm not going to come in here and make claims that I'm going to get rid of this thing for you. I can't do that. I don't have experience. I can work something out and talk to some friends who might be into that. But what I can do is get answers for you, maybe a name, what they're doing here, do some research, maybe get you familiar with why they're here. Because most of the time what I've learned is that people get scared of ghosts no matter what. It doesn't matter if they're a nice ghost or they're a demon. Like, they get scared. And you have to understand, I mean, something's moving on its own, something's calling your name. You don't know what to think about that. It's unnormal. It's paranormal. So
paranormal, outside the normal, right?
Yeah. So basically, like, I just tell them I'm not going to get rid of this thing, but I can get you some answers. I can see what its purpose is if it wants to come forward. So that's how I can help. But I've never cleansed the house. I've never attempted to. Would that be something I would be into? I'm not sure. I'm not real big on how do I say this without making people mad? I got a big mouth, sorry, but I'm not real big on people who tell me that they have special powers. You know, I met one person that kind of convinced me. I did a video about it, but then after a while getting to know them, I really didn't see much coming through besides that one situation. Yeah. So it takes a lot for me. I'm not really into tarot cards. I'm not really into the witch thing. I do not play with Ouija boards. You know, I don't do seances, holding hands. I don't allow them to get close to me like that.
Right.
What I do is just rely on my technology, the electronic equipment that I have.
And I've had other investigators on the show that sometimes will kind of not solely obviously rely on that, because a lot of those things like dowsing rods and Ouija boards are very subjective. But they will bring some of those things on investigations and attempt to back the findings up with actual like EVP or a Mel meter or like, you know, SB set, like a spirit box or something like that. They'll attempt to back up what they've, you know, and try to corroborate the two sides to try and validate the information. But I was like, I'm a little iffy with dowsing rods are the thing. I'm like, no. I'm like, no.
I've messed with them before, and a lot of heat gets created between your palm and the dowsing rod, and it creates a little sweat, I've noticed. And I don't know.
It's very subjective to the person that's holding it. So
very true. My
thing with it.
I also don't believe in apps, and a lot of investigators have a problem with that. I don't do apps.
I don't like the apps either.
There's probably, I've experimented with some. There's probably a couple out there that kind of prove to be interesting, but at the end of the day, I want to give the truth, and I'm better off just saving my money and going to ghoststop.com or Ghost Augustine and buying just some legit equipment,
Yeah. Because the thing with the apps too is because they're third party and because they're made by someone else, I don't know what that person's motivation was behind making this thing. I don't know them. I don't know. It's too easy to manipulate the databases. It's too easy to manipulate the code in the back. I don't know what that looks like on that end because I'm not a programmer. So I have too many questions. I have too many questions about the validity of that sort of stuff to trust it too much.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Since you're the interviewer, I'm sorry. I'm going to reverse it real quick.
That's okay.
What do you think about that new Rando Nautica, whatever?
I hate it. I hate it.
It's really not hard to figure out, but people don't care. They're going to believe what they're going to believe. They're going to believe the guy with 3 million subscribers over me. That always happens.
Yeah.
It goes off your location.
Yeah, it does.
It's like Google Maps.
Yeah.
So if you say you want to see dead bodies, it's going to send you to a
cemetery.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I won't work with anybody I've seen using them. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. If
I tried it. I downloaded it because I was like, I've seen all these videos, and I was like, I don't trust apps first and foremost for paranormal things. I said, I will give it a try. I was like, had days off, and I was in between shows, and I was like, you know what? I'm on vacation. Let me give it a try. It did not work at all. It just randomly directed me to one was a construction site that I couldn't get into. It directed me to a spot between people's houses. I was like, this doesn't work. This doesn't work at all.
It leaves a lot of, it leaves a lot of possibilities. So if you're looking for UFOs and it sends you to a house, and then all of a sudden, somebody will see the address, I don't know, 666 address, or
the numbers mean something, and I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, or they'll see something maybe resembling, or the address is 51, so they're like, Area 51. It's like you're reaching now. You're just reaching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was like, dude, I'm not rolling up to someone's house in the middle of quarantine.
Yeah.
Walking on their property, and they're gonna be like, who is this? It's dangerous to me too, because it depends on where it sends you. I mean, it might work better in rural areas where it can send you out to fields and you might find something cool, like a cool old abandoned building or something. Mm-hmm. But when you're in the city, it sends you to neighborhoods of people's houses. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not rolling up on someone's house and they don't know who I am. And no, it's very scary.
Announcement. If you want to catch ghosts, buy an SB7 spirit box and go to your local cemetery. A lot of them have little walls you can jump over. Boom. It's that simple.
Right.
But
done.
They're influenced by these influencers. So if these jerks with a camera running around in the dark with 2 million subs telling them to go use this, it works, they're going to go use it.
They're going to go use it. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So is that your favorite piece of equipment to use, the SB7? Is that your overall favorite piece of equipment, or do you have another one?
I love the SB7 because it puts you in direct contact. I also like using a DVR, digital voice recorder. Most people have them on their phones. Mm-hmm. That little memo voice recorder. Night vision. I believe a lot of night vision, UV light. I just recently bought a Paraforce. It's a little REM pod, and they're half the price. Cool. And they're really great. So I haven't seen anything come out of that yet, but I only took it on 2 investigations.
REM pods are pretty cool.
Oh, REM pods are excellent.
They're awesome.
They're pricey. If I had enough money, I would roll with 10 of them to every spot.
Just all over.
I would,
And then just cameras in every
cameras catching
all
everything.
over.
That's it. Yeah.
As much as you could cover in a network of cameras, if you could have 50 cameras just on every spot, to catch everything, would be ideal. So what is your do you have a wish list of a next piece of equipment, so besides more REM pods, that you would like to get?
Next piece of equipment, I would probably want to get I would just say a lot more A lot more REM pods. Oh, it's actually it's gonna be on the way shortly here when I order it. I've been really trying. I don't know why I blocked this out for like a year, but I was really interested in a trail cam. Have you seen those?
No.
Yeah, they're just little cameras. This camouflage. They're for hunting, and you put them on a tree, and any motion, it takes a picture in zero point 0.4 to 0.8 seconds, and then it starts recording video.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So it would be for like deer hunting or something like that.
Yeah, but a lot of investigators I've seen are using them. I know some guys from Orange County that are using them, and really awesome. I mean, because my laptop's old and I can hook a night vision camera up to it. It's just, when I sleep in a haunted place or a hotel, it really weighs down on the memory. And maybe I should get a laptop first, but this is really easy. You put it up there and we'll start recording until something comes in the frame.
And something, an older piece of equipment like that may not be as quick and responsive as something like that that's programmed to be that.
Yeah, that's
that
programmed
fast.
to pick something up that comes 0.4 seconds.
That's impressive.
And that's very impressive. It's just boom, one picture and starts recording.
Is that an expensive piece of equipment? And
no, they're around $50.
That's not bad. So people could just get that from like a hunting, like a place that you would buy like hunting supplies from.
You can go into what's a big one out here? Bass Pro Shop.
Bass Pro Shop? Okay.
Bass Pro Shop. I don't even know if they have Dick's Sporting Goods anymore, Big Five, I don't know, but Amazon's probably the best way,
Oh, for sure. For sure.
If you need it right away, you can go to one of those other shops. But yeah, definitely that. More night vision. I'm very big on night vision.
Night vision's a big one. Absolutely. So do you believe that the entities that you have encountered at locations are the spirits of dead people that have passed on, or do you feel like they're other beings? Do you feel like there are other entities like elementals, like demons? What do you feel like?
Eesh. That's a very tough question because I'm not sure anybody can answer that fully. Maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of ghosts I encounter, like I said before, you really, unless you go there often and experience. Okay, I'll give you an example. There's a house that I frequent at that Air Force base, and it's just a house. It's really easy to get in. You walk in there, and the house is like right there. Man, I've got really, really great evidence from there for, going back 3 years. And basically, shoot, hold on, something's falling here. Oops, sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, so I was convinced for the longest time because all the EVPs we kept getting from this house sounded like a little boy or a little girl whispering.
Okay.
So, we got a collection of these, so we were convinced we're dealing with a child.
Right.
One time, my buddy said that something ran full speed, like tackled him, but they put their shoulders in his back. He said he felt the person go all the way through him, but it felt like electricity. Scared out of his mind. He ran out. He didn't want to go back in there. I went to that same house about 6 months later, and all my equipment shut off. The REM pod started going nuts, and I'm by myself.
Oh, no.
So I start recording on my phone, and as I'm recording, the phone dies.
Oh, geez.
So I turned on the digital voice recorder, and I turned on the spirit box battery run, and it started running. And clear as day, I said, "Are there any spirits in here? Who just set those off?" And you hear a guy say, "Fuck you." So I said, "Who told me that?" And you hear that same little kind of a girl whisper. She says, like, "I did." And like she said, "Me, I did." And that was it, man. I was really thinking about just jamming and coming back with a friend to get my stuff. I was that scared. I'm not gonna lie to you. Hearing this.
Oh, yeah.
So
like that close where you're like,
yeah.
It sounds like they're right next to you.
But it confused me. I learned, but I got confused. It's like, so what are we dealing with here? What is this?
Yeah.
Still to this day, I don't know, but that place is very, very active.
That sounds like, is that the same location you were talking about earlier? That's the very active one?
It's an Air Force base, and these are part of the housing. A little distance away from the Air Force base itself, but yeah. Very interesting.
That's crazy. That sounds like I would love to go check that place out. Would you ever bring home something from a location, like an object?
I never do.
Yeah. I feel like that's not a great idea.
I just don't believe in it. That's just not what I do. And I'm not there to take anything. Just
right.
What do they say? A lot of urbexers say, take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints. Mm-hmm. And I believe in that. I've been with guys where they start sticking things in their bag, like just useless stuff. Like, okay, It's not for me, unless I find that big bag of cash one day. Nothing leaves
gold
there.
bars just piled up on the table.
Yeah.
Like, they must have known I was coming.
And I've seen all kinds of cool stuff. I've seen stuff that, like a paperweight. It's a crazy hand carved paperweight. And I've seen all kinds of cool stuff that will go in an office or a house.
Right.
Tempting, but no, that's not what I do.
But not, yeah. It was like camping. It's like you pack in and pack out. You don't, you leave it as undisturbed as you possibly as when you walked in.
Very true.
And plus, you never know what you're taking home either. Because do you believe that things can attach to objects?
I do. But people can not know what they're doing, getting into, and they can pick up an object that was very dear to a spirit that is still living in that area, just not like we know. And they might take offense to that, and they're going to go have their way with you at their house.
And get upset and get a little bit pissed off that you took one of their things home. So do you do anything else other than the exit prayer to prevent things from following you home?
I am very strong in that exit prayer. That exit prayer to me is the reason why I don't live in fear of anything following me.
Right.
A lot of guys, a lot of these fake guys always, you'll see a lot of their videos, and then randomly in the middle of their videos, they'll have like 5 or 6 videos about something followed me home. And it's like, I don't think I've had anything follow me home. The only thing I've had follow me and not into my house was that one time, and that's because I didn't use the exit prayer.
Right. That's that one thing, and it was pretty negative from what you've described.
Yeah,
it was a pretty powerful negative thing.
Yeah. But I have a very strong belief in God, and I believe that I'm protected.
Yeah.
And anybody can obtain that. You just have to believe.
Yeah. You just I do something as simple as you can't come with me.
That's it. Something.
That's it. You can't come with me. I don't do anything religion based myself really. Like I just like, you can't come with me. Like, you have to stay here. Like, it was nice to visit with you, but you have to stay here.
Yeah.
So have you encountered any kind of issues? And I know this has been obviously with the environment of things, the way the world is right now, which is, the world's kind of topsy-turvy crazy. I feel like we're in the upside down. Have you encountered any issues with investigating as far as because of the pandemic and things like that?
Yeah, kind of a trip. I was staying at the Mission Inn, and I did this whole thing where in a 10-day period, I stayed there 6 nights with a couple breaks here and there, and one day I was leaving that place. I was just going to get on the freeway, and then I saw this really old hotel, and it just clicked on me. A lot of people had told me about this place. Another historic building, but unfortunately they didn't take care of it. It was really dirty. I didn't catch a whole lot, but I checked in at about 3:00 in the afternoon, took a little nap, and at about 6:00, I just heard people. What the heck is that? Like a big,
what's that?
Just people, yeah. And then I heard drums. I opened the balcony window and I looked, and there's a massive riot. Not a riot, I'm sorry. It was a peaceful protest.
Oh, wow.
When I left, I hung around for about 2 hours. When I left, it didn't get violent, but I just really felt obligated. Okay, in the beginning when the riots got real bad in downtown, there was a part of me that wanted to go down there to cover it. But at the same time, I didn't want to just be another body down there with a camera, because every time you would see a cop car, somebody would run over there and do a pose in front of a burning cop car, and you see 20 amateur photographers going over there. And I was like, you know what? That's not what this is about.
No.
And it sickens me that a lot of these younger, pretty girls with these big Instagram channels and guys, the only reason why they ever went down there is just to put it on all for the gram, put it on
the gram. Yep.
That just made me sick. It's like, but
for social media, for the clicks, for the follows, for the, for the whatever.
Well, I didn't want to go down there because of that. I just figured, you know what? This is messy. I'm not afraid. I've been in situations like that. It doesn't bother me, but I just don't want to be another body down there. That's not what we need right now. This is far from peaceful, but I got sucked into it. I was doing an investigation, waiting for the sun to drop in. I seen all these people, and I went down there and I filmed it. I got caught in the middle of this peaceful protest.
Jeez, that's another side of it that I know people have been encountering some issues because the locations are closed, because they're not taking, they're not allowing people to come in because of quarantine rules and things like that. And I've, I know some investigators that are back in New York, especially, that I have two that are, or three that I interviewed on this show that are all based out of New York. And New York has had some really stringent quarantine rules where they haven't been able to hardly do anything,
New York's a mess right now.
locked down. So one channel is only now getting to their second episode. They're finally, like, now that they've loosened up the rules a little, the regulations a little bit, they're actually able to go out and do their next episode. But they were having to sit on their hands for the longest time because they're like, we literally can't go do anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never even been to the state of New York, so I'm not going to speak for them. But I'm going to tell you what I experienced out in California.
Yeah.
Is man, I pounded out more videos during this pandemic than I did in the last 8 months.
Oh, wow.
Because what I realized was right when things started to open up, all the hotels opened up. I stayed at the Queen Mary. I stayed at a bunch of local ones that had little homicides and suicides in them. And basically people were telling me at first, like, oh, what are you doing? You're going to catch something. Well, think about it. These hotels shut down for 3 months.
Yeah, they're going to need people. They need revenue. They
told me that we have to clean your room because nobody's rented it for 2 months. It's like, okay, so I mean, you could track this thing from people supposedly, not a hotel that hasn't seen
right.
2 months. So, and then they were really cheap. The Glen Tavern Inn, the Glen Tavern Inn and the Queen Mary were open, and the prices went back up. But I was getting rooms at the Queen Mary for $99 about 2.5 months ago.
That is impressive.
That's unheard of.
That is never that price. The Queen Mary,
even in their driest season, which I think might be right after the New Year, I think a room still is $179 plus tax.
Oh, easy.
But for $99, I was like, oh, shoot it, let's do this. Yeah.
Yes, I don't even care at that point. I'd be like, oh, whatever you need me to do. Like,
I mean, I'm not gonna put a lot of paranormal investigators down, but a lot of them seem to kind of be, oh, well, I'm going to wait till things calm down with COVID. But if you look at their Instagram or their YouTube, they haven't posted anything in months anyway. So it's like kind of a cop out, but
like, was it really, or were you already not doing anything?
Right. But they'll go on their Instagram every day and say, hey, I'm a ghost hunter. I'm still here. Buy my buttons and my t-shirts. I'm a ghost hunter. It's like, okay, well, where's the content? You know,
the videos.
That's just my opinion.
Is it?
Yeah.
Where's your dream investigation location? So if money and travel was no object, you'd go anywhere.
Man. Okay. You know what? I know all kinds of urban explorers and ghost hunters from all over. I would definitely want to go to the UK. There's a lot of really old castles down there. Really old castles
for sure.
along the beach. Ireland, I don't know, maybe Sweden, Amsterdam. There's a lot of history down there. Other than that, I think for the U.S., geez, that's a good one. Maybe like the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
That's a good one.
Really good one.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many. You know, there's this whole debate where people say that, you know, this city or this state is the most haunted. I don't believe that. I think everywhere you go, there's activity.
Oh, there's something in every state. You can find something, even if it's an abandoned house, even if it's like, doesn't even have to be a famous location. I've had other people say that, and I'm sure you've probably experienced that as well, where it's like, you maybe don't get as much off of the really popular locations because they are frequented quite a bit. It's those off the beaten track places that people may not know about that you might get some crazy activity happens at those, and maybe not so much at the big ones, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So let's get into some clips. I have some clips of
you
were talking about the Goldfield episode. Goldfield as a town, I'm going to go on record, freaks me out because I never see anyone in this town. Like, I've driven through it multiple times to go to Tonopah, and this is during the middle of the day in the week, and I never see anyone out in this town. I don't know actually how many people live there currently. I don't think it's too many.
I think it's like 120 or something.
It's in the hundreds or something like that, but you never see anyone outside. So I'm convinced it's a town of vampires. They just don't come out during the day. So there's two very famous locations in Goldfield. One is the hotel, which is currently being remodeled. And I guess they're going to try to reopen it at some point.
Yeah.
And the other one is the high school, the old school, the Goldfield School. And that is the location that you guys went to in Goldfield was the high school. So let's pull up, and I'm going to grab a clip here really quick. And we're going to get the first one which is, I believe, you want to walk us through the clip. I'm going to advise people that are watching right now to put on headphones, because there are some sounds that you're going to need to pick up on headphones. It's going to be easier for you to hear them. So, and just keep an ear out. I'll try to warn you to take them off for when I start talking again with my loud ass. So, all right. So we're going to, all right. We're going to do full screen. And so this is in, I believe, right before the incident we were talking about.
Okay.
So I'm going to cue this one up. And play.
I just want to interact with you a little bit. So let's start with that freaking thing. The handles.
Yeah, that's when I heard footsteps in the classroom.
Where? Classroom? Noise right now. What type of noise? Like a shuffle on the ground. Now, unfortunately, the camera did not pick this up, but I heard somebody walking in the classroom. So we decided to go back over there and sit down and do a digital voice recording session. Now, here's my brother sitting to the right of me, and I don't want you to get this confused for being an orb or anything. That's actually called lens flare, and this is his angle, as you guys can see. So once again, do not be confused by these two lights. That's the camera light coming from my brother, the IR illuminator. But I want you to pay attention to the left here. You're going to see our first piece of evidence clear as day. And as of now, you guys, I really have no idea what this is. I'm going to go ahead and say this is not dust. Dust is usually in a round form. This is pretty bizarre. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Does it look like it's night vision?
So that one, that's definitely, I have to show that clip. I have to show that one.
Very interesting.
So that one was very interesting. So did you guys, other than the footsteps that you heard from the other room, from the classroom before you went in there, did you hear anything at the time that that popped in, or that when that popped on the camera, or is that something you didn't even see until when you reviewed footage later?
Yeah, I was editing, and before I edit, I like to look at everything, and that's the painstaking part of investigating. You have to sit there for a while and look this stuff up. But yeah, I didn't know that happened until I started editing the video, and it just blew me away.
Yeah, you can tell it's not, like you said, that you can see the other, because there are other little like specks of dust that you can see that are definitely like round or like dot shaped that are in the lens. And like I said, I like the fact that you went and qualified and you're like, okay, don't look at these because this lens flare, and you just went like already just like debunked those things. But then you have this thing that you're like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, very weird.
It was very strange.
Yeah.
So the next clip is from the same location. This one is when you had gone into that coal room, which is also a very active spot in the Goldfield School. You go into it a little bit on the clip, but I think I cut before that. So tell us a little bit about the background of that coal room.
Okay. So the owner tells us that he can't confirm this, but he was told when he bought the property that a little boy was hiding from teachers, and he ran in there, and he got crushed by some coal. So that's all the information we have. But when you roll the clip, you can hear an EVP of a young kid.
Right.
Says the word fallen, like I've fallen. So
or something fell on him.
Or something fell on him, yeah, I still don't know. It's pretty relevant though, pretty relevant voice.
It really is.
There's no radio frequencies hardly in that area.
Not in Goldfield, there's not. There's no, when you drive through there with just your car radio, you don't pick up thing. It's static.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've driven through there without, you know, the internet, like, because I have Spotify. So I have like, you know, the thing. But when I turn that off, when it's not on, there's no radio frequencies out there.
Yeah.
So let's cue up this clip here. And that one, like I said, that one's the other one. I was like, holy cow, that is crazy relevant. So we're going to share. Gives me a second. We're going to share that. Okay. So I think I cut it right before, like right after you stop talking. There we go.
Nevada homeowners.
Or then there's an ad, you know, these things happen.
Keep watching the video.
We don't want to watch the video, lady. Oh my goodness, YouTube. With what? There we go. So turn up your.
We've already got some ghost gear on the ground. I know, it's crazy, right? And it actually still smells like coal, and they haven't used this since what, 50s, 1952. So yeah, I'm gonna turn this light off right now. And we're gonna try another spirit box. So you guys ready for some darkness? I really wish you guys would just go ahead and turn off the night vision, Rich. If you can reach up there and grab it.
Yeah, it was really dark in there.
I was like, it looks like it's pitch black in there at this point.
That's exactly what we see. The only person who has a little source of light is my brother, and it's through that LCD screen. So go ahead and turn it back on. Now it's on. You see the difference? Now I can still see nothing. Literally all I see is my brother's face, his little eyes back there. So this is as real as it gets. You know, you won't find the 3 a.m. challenge guys walking around with night vision like this in the dark in a haunted place like this. You know, this is
not even a little.
This is what we do. Follow. Now we get a voice coming through right off the bat, and if you listen, it actually sounds like a 13, maybe 14-year-old kid, and he says the word fallen. Maybe there is some truth to this story about this kid coming in here. Maybe he's talking about he fell or something has fallen on him, or maybe he fell and hit his head. Very interesting. It leaves a lot of room for debate. Once again, leave a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Follow? Yeah, I don't know what that was, dude.
Yeah, I felt something brush against my arm right there.
Holy shit. I don't know what that was. It felt like just like a breeze, dude, on the right arm in my face. To the right of me. Oh my god, that's crazy. That scared me, bro. Maybe there, well, you know, is there any sound? What ears? You know what it felt like? Yeah, there's something there. That might be it.
Now, to be fair, did you capture any? Was there any air coming through there?
No, they were all sealed off.
So the windows and everything was sealed. There was no cross breeze because, like, that's literally in a. It looks like a closet.
Yeah.
Like this, like bricked off room where there's that one window, but that window you can kind of see is pretty much sealed up. So there should not be any breeze going through there. There is no open channel of air.
Right.
There's also another incident earlier when you guys are in the science room, which I don't want to spoil it for everybody, make them go watch the video. But where your equipment just dies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is crazy. I have never seen a spirit box just die.
Turn off. Yeah. And
shut off.
And it's weird because I've used my spirit box. It has some miles on it, but I wouldn't say that if you ask any investigator, they don't use that thing hardly often. It's literally little clips at a time. The longest I've ever had a spirit box on was probably 5 minutes. So
yeah.
There's no way the batteries could have died. There's no way, weird. It turned off and it had no bars. So I took the batteries out, put them back in, and it started up again.
So crazy. It was wild. It was just like everything just like went poop. Nope. It just shut off.
Yeah.
That's not something you see shut off very often. So that was crazy. So that's a crazy active location. I'm looking forward to going there at some point. So now that we've watched some of the guys, make sure you subscribe. The link is running below to SPC ghost. He does a lot of Urban X videos as well as the paranormal stuff. So make sure you go watch that whole Goldfield one. It's crazy. Like there's some crazy activity that's caught there. It's very haunted there. I fully believe that it's 100% haunted. Let's get into the survey questions. So I ask these of every guest that's on the show. And I just like to ask people, it's kind of like my little inside the actor studio kind of moment when he would ask the survey at the end. So question number 1, what spirit would you want to encounter if you could choose anybody's spirit to talk to?
Man, probably my dad. He passed about close to 5 years ago now, maybe a little less. Yeah.
It's a good choice. That's a good. I've had other people say that as well. Their family members is a big one.
Yeah.
What is your best piece of advice for investigators that are just getting started?
Learn. Don't just go off of your perception of it. If you're not taking advice, if you're not, what I would do is if you want to start a team or do you want to be involved in a team, go out and investigate with a couple different people. You can find groups on Facebook. Once in a while because of COVID, we haven't done it, but once in a while I team up with a ghost group from Facebook. This guy brings fans from Facebook, and some of them meet me and we have a good time. I would say tag along with some people with some experience. Watch how they do things. Pay attention to what other paranormal investigators are doing. You can go to Instagram and just start following paranormal guys all over and just see how they're doing, see what they're doing. And if I were you guys, just stay away from apps. Just, you want to be on the safe side and just buy the equipment. I know it's not expensive, but we're at a time right now, at least I know a lot of people in my life are not working and they're still receiving income. It's a perfect time for you to save money and buy something.
Yeah.
Go take a trip and stay at the Queen Mary or do something, but try not to jump to conclusions so quick. That's the name of investigating. It's in the title, paranormal investigator. You have to investigate. Right. We're here to get to the bottom of it. We're here for the truth. And don't be afraid and don't be discouraged if you go do your first video and nothing happens. That's a part of the game. Don't ever try to steer far from the truth, because once you start doing that, and you might start to see a following, you're never going to be taken seriously by real investigators. And there's a lot of us out there that will never take these guys seriously. Right. And it doesn't matter to them because, we're small pennies. We're guys with 5, 8, 10,000 subs, and they've got 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 million. Doesn't matter. I didn't get to where I got this far by faking stuff. So just stick to the truth. Roll with a couple local groups. Most groups are cool. They'll let you roll with them and just learn. Be willing to learn.
Yeah.
Don't get butthurt. Don't get butthurt when somebody tells you, "I think you have nothing here."
Yeah. Be open to learn. That's the important thing. Yeah. You have to. So what are questions you love being asked about what you do?
I don't like really when people tell me, it's like a religious thing. They're like, "Oh, you're playing with demons, right? Or something bad's gonna happen to you, right?" It's like, "Well, you believe in ghosts too?" They're like, "No, I don't." Like, "Yeah, you do." "No, I don't." I said, "I'll bet you do." So how do I believe in ghosts? I said, "You believe in the Holy Spirit?" They're like, "Yeah, but that's not a ghost." Like, "Hello, Holy Spirit, it's a spirit." So we're on the same page. You believe on faith. I believe on faith.
Right.
I've never seen a ghost come right in my face and shake my hand and say, "Take my picture." We got a selfie and he walked away. It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
I love that, but I like the question more of, why do you do this?
Right.
Instead of, this and that. I like that. Why? Why do you? I'd rather answer, "Why do you do this?" than to be scolded and tell,
and going like
crazy, yeah.
And going like, "Oh, well, that's not real," or that's, or the negative comments, kind of like, and that's been kind of the general consensus of when I ask people like what the questions they hate about being asked. And it's not even like questions as much, but it's more the skepticism of somebody going, "Well, that's not real. That's dumb. Why do you do that?" That's the stuff people hate.
True.
So what do TV, movies, media, the mass media get wrong about paranormal investigations?
Ooh. What do they get wrong about it? They feel, I'm not going to drop names, but one of the biggest shows out there, those guys have been bending the truth for 7, 8 years now, really bad. And the only people who know that are people who do that. If you're just a consumer, if you're just a guy who likes to watch that with his wife on the weekends, and what you're watching it's fake. You know, they're misled, because when you investigate, you know how many times I've been to a location and I didn't catch anything, and I had all that footage.
Those are the odds.
That's why I turned those videos into an Urbex video, because it ends up being a really sick abandoned asylum or something, but nothing happened. Right. I'm not going to bore people with that. So the big misconception is, you know, if you watch a guy, whether he's on TV or YouTube or anything, and every single time he posts a video, they're getting doors slammed, they're getting women screaming, they're getting that's far-fetched. You know.
So we already kind of answered the next question. Ouija boards, yes or no? And you said no.
No. And I don't believe in Ouija boards for one reason. Because they're real. They're real and they're dangerous. They're real dangerous, you know? My personal experience, I've never seen somebody open a Ouija board, talk to their dead aunt. How you doing? This and that, and close the Ouija board and everything's done. No, it's always resulted in something negative.
Right.
Every single time. Every time. Every time I've seen somebody use that, and I'm even in the room, not even touching it, it has some negative effect. It's like leaving your door open with a big sign that says free rent, free room and board.
Please, please come inside.
You're probably going to get a few weirdos, maybe some nice people coming through, but you're going to get that one dude one day. He's just going to, you're letting strangers in your house. You know?
Oh, 100%. And I've heard it described this way by people who do use them for investigations. It's like, if you don't know what you're doing, then don't use one.
True.
Yeah. If you don't know what you're doing, then don't play with it. If it's a piece of equipment, like you wouldn't walk into a location with a piece of like scientific equipment that you didn't know how to use, and you're just like waving it around.
True.
You know, you learn how to use that just like you would learn how to use a EMF reader, just like you would learn to use anything. What is the first thing you do after completing an investigation? So when an investigation's done or an exploration's done, what's the first thing you do?
Go around taking more B-roll shots for the
so it's a good choice.
You know, I always believe in, besides that, praying when I leave, but after everything's done, all the lights go back on, or maybe it's during the day.
Daytime,
I like to go back and get shots. You know, so a lot of times I'll do it. If it's an Urbex video, I'll do all my B-roll while I'm walking through. So you'll see me a lot, like talking to the camera, and then you'll see me a lot exploring stuff, and then I'll turn the camera off and I'll just see a really cool area of like a hospital or something, and I say, well, I don't want to come all the way back here, let me bust out the gimbal, or let me bust out the slider, or the GoPro or something. Or
sliders are awesome.
Sliders are great. Sliders make it.
Sliders are amazing. What's the first thing you pack when you go out on an investigation?
Pack?
What's the first thing you pack?
Probably my gear. Make sure.
Is there a specific one piece of gear that you pack first over everything else that you make sure you have?
I always bring everything with me.
Just all of it?
I got a nice little case. I just bring it all there.
Just all packed up.
That's the most important piece, because this actually happened recently. Man, I went all the way out to a hotel, got one of the haunted rooms, and realized I left my bag.
Oh no!
At my friend's house. Yeah, I was just like, I was heated, to say the least. I was very mad at myself.
Upset at me.
Like, I had to take a walk around the block. I was that mad because, you know,
no.
2 hours away from where I live.
Yeah.
The reservation, we're there, and I don't have one piece of equipment. It's not something you go buy at Home Depot, right?
No, it's like the best you could do is like, it's like, yeah, I can pull my phone out because the phone has a camera and has a voice recorder, but like it's not the same, you know? Yeah. What is your biggest fear?
Investigating, or just the whole thing, Urbex investigating?
In general, let's go with both.
Man. I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but there's not much I fear. I have such a love for this. You know, you always have to be on your toes for things. Like, I've had a lot of homeless encounters.
Yeah, that happens.
I've had a lot of nosy neighbors come across the street, and what are you doing? You can't be in there. I'm going to call the cops. Or you're not leaving because I'm going to call the cops. I'm like, okay. Try to stop me. But then again, I have to sympathize with them because they're tired of visitors. Kids people coming there at 2 in the morning
with cameras, and yeah.
So you have to understand. So I never come across nasty or rude with anybody. I don't think I've ever I don't think I've ever had to like raise my chest at somebody. I had one guy who got in my face for a second, but then he ended up being really cool. He was squatting in these like slew of abandoned places, like a little neighborhood. And as soon as I went in there, he just came up. He's like, got my face. What are you doing? You know, my uncle owns this property. I'm watching it for him. The guy had a tent in some bushes. So I'm sure he was watching the property, but that's another, you know.
It's like, I'm sure it is. Okay, but we're not, we'll put a pin in that for now.
I never argue with anybody about a location because if it doesn't belong to either you or I, what's the point? I'll just find another one. It's not worth it. You know?
That's true. Last question on the survey. Sure. Would you want to be a ghost when you die?
Well, I'm pretty sure we're all spirits. Do I want to be a ghost? I don't know. I don't know. I'll let you know. I'll go to the other side and I'll check it out and I'll come back and let you know.
Tell me what it's like. Tell me if it's awesome or not, or if we want to stick around here.
You know, I don't know how that side works. These are all the questions I would like to have answered. So if I were to go to heaven, I would love to come back and show my brother, my mom that I'm here, you know, which a lot of spirits do. They do.
That's for sure. Absolutely. So we're going to open it up to the audience that is watching.
How many people are watching?
We have 13 right now on YouTube, cool. And we have 7 on Facebook. So we've got about 20 watching. So, and then if you don't get to your question, please leave it below in the comments. We'll make sure that it gets answered. Does anyone have any questions for Bobby? I will put them up on the screen. And it takes a second because StreamYard runs second behind the chat.
I downloaded StreamYard, but I haven't used it.
It's fun, and I love it.
I don't do much live stuff. I usually just do it from my phone.
And it's nice. It does work from the phone, but I think you have to, to do mobile, you have to have a certain, for mobile streaming, you have to have a certain amount of subscribers or something like that. And it's I don't have that yet. So I have to do it from my house.
That's fine.
Clearly. Papa Bear's like, I'd go scare people and then move on. I'm like, yeah, that'd be kind of like, I want to spook people, go and spook my friends and then move on to something else. Yeah. I scared everyone I wanted to. So Conry has a question. Thoughts about using an SLS camera?
I would love an SLS camera. I have researched how to make it. I guess I should dedicate more time because right now, unfortunately, I don't have $499 for a new one. Mm-hmm. That's really the only roadblock with that. But SLS cameras are interesting. Interesting stuff. Actually, somebody sent me an app the other day. Garbage. SLS app. No. Yeah. I had a buddy I used to go something with who uses SLS a lot. And interesting. I would like to dedicate more time to it. And if they weren't so expensive, I'd have one already.
For sure. And I know a ghost hunter as well. He builds his own because they are expensive, or he's built ones in the past. Yeah. And he's even said he uses them a lot. But he'll even tell you, he's like, it's none of these pieces of equipment that we use are proven 100%. You know, it's like one of those things where it's like, it's a great piece of equipment to potentially catch things.
Yeah.
But none of these things are proven 100%. Yes, he actually has a tutorial on his page because he has a channel as well. He has a tutorial on how to make one. So
cool. You gotta send that to me.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send it to you for sure. It's Patrick from the Haunted Side. So he actually makes them on his own. So I'll make sure you get that link. Yes, because again, who has $500 sitting around to buy one, you know? Very and true. Then, so for sure. So does anyone else have any questions? Oh, the Skeleton Crew has one. What location do you want to collaborate on?
And I don't know where you guys are from. My state? California?
I think they are from California, yes.
Oh, collaborate. I mean, I'm up for anything. There's never a shortage of haunted locations, I think, at least in my state. You know, I'm always finding stuff, even old ones that I have been meaning to get to. You know what I've been trying to get to, actually? I don't know what part of California they're from, but I've been trying to get to the Dead Man's Park in Whittier, California, right around the area I grew up.
They're in Northern California, it looks like.
Oh, they're in Northern? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get out there much. If you guys come down,
you guys should meet somewhere in between.
True. Very
in
true.
betwixt.
Very true. Let's meet in between. Let's do it.
There you go. You guys make this happen. Make it happen. Meet in between. There's got to be some places in between.
I've heard of Skeleton Key. I've heard of them. That's their name, right? Skeleton Key?
Skeleton Crew Paranormal.
Skeleton Crew. I don't know why I say Key. Yeah, I've seen them around. I think I do follow them.
Yeah, I think that you guys are. I want to say that I was like on one of your guys' Instagrams, and I think you guys somebody follows who, and I don't remember.
Yeah, cool.
But
Yeah, DM me, no problem, love.
Yeah, send a DM. Meet up in between. They said absolutely we should schedule something. So
DM me some locations, and we'll see.
Make it happen. Do a collab. This is the perfect time for it too, because it's like, again, like
you guys
people have downtime. There's places that are open that may not generally be open to receiving investigations. So get as many in as you can get before things go back to normal.
Before we all start going back to work and have lives and get it
or
in.
Before some of these locations start charging again, because some of them may not have charged because they're just want to get people back into these things. So it's a good opportunity. It's an opportune time to jump on it.
Yes,
are there anyone else have any questions about equipment, about locations, about anything? They said will do. So they will hit you up.
Cool.
I love being a facilitator.
Thank you.
It's a happy accident. Does anyone have any other questions? If not, we'll kind of wrap it here, just because we're almost about that hour and a half.
All right.
Mark. If anyone has any questions that did not get answered, you got about 5 seconds to pop them into the. Oh, I got one. Okay, hold on 1 second. Papa Bear says, "Have you tried an old school reel-to-reel tape recorder?"
No, I don't own an old school reel-to-reel. I see some investigators every now and then using that, or an old tape deck, those old school tape decks you can hold, and but yeah, I'm up for that. The only thing I'm really not going to participate in is any apps, but if you have anything else that might be of interest to what we do, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Got an open mind and an open ear to everything.
Absolutely. So hit him up if you have any ideas. Just let him know, or if you know piece of equipment that you use that has been beneficial for you. It's like, again, it's just the apps, I think, probably are like, no.
Yeah.
No, with the apps. I'm with you on that one. I'm in the same boat there. So guys, make sure you subscribe. The link is running at the bottom. The link is also attached to this video. If you have any questions that did not get answered, please make sure to post them in the comments. I will make sure that they get answered. Bobby, thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for your time. And I'm going to be looking forward to that Skeleton Crew and SCPC collab video.
You know what?
Some point.
I'm always down for a collab. It's just the other party that comes up with excuses. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, hopefully not this time.
Yeah, I don't want to go something because of social distancing. It's like, okay.
We can wear masks. It's fine.
Wear masks and 6 feet apart. I mean, I'm not going to bring 15 people, but
yeah, you're not bringing a whole group in. It's totally fine.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hopefully, this will make a good little video for you.
I'm sure it will.
Be up on your page?
It will. So this video will be featured on the page as the newest interview, and it's accessible to anybody who's missed it. So even if they missed the live, it's fine. They can go back and rewatch it. Again, hit us up, ask your questions, let us know if there's something you didn't get to answer. Because I know there were some people that were popping in and out because they work and they're into time zones and they may not catch it live. We're always down to answer any questions that people may have thought that didn't get answered. So definitely, thank you so much for joining me. Definitely keep an eye out for those videos. Go subscribe, guys. The only reason these guys are passionate about doing what they do, and they're passionate about the paranormal and finding ghosts. And the only reason they can't do it if they don't have people watching, necessarily. So, they need you to subscribe to the real stuff, to the real things. Don't waste your time on the fake things. Go subscribe to the real guys, like my friend here below. So
thank you. Appreciate that.
Of course. You're welcome. Like I said, and again, it's not a cheap hobby.
No, it's not. It's
hobby either.
The YouTube channel alone and everything I do is very time consuming. And I get asked all the time, I want to start a channel. What do I do? How do I get there? It's like you're not willing to look at this like a whole part-time other job, then you're not.
Whole other job.
You need to be putting in hours per week to make this thing work, to get
Yep.
at least 1,000 people watching you. You know.
Definitely. Absolutely. It's totally, and it's like I said, it's a passion project for you guys.
Yeah.
So the least you can do is subscribe. You guys, the least you could do. So thank you so much. Sub to our guest. Thank you, Bobby, for being on the show.
Thank you.
We'll touch base again at some point if you'd like to be on a future one. We can always have you back for a return visit.
Of course.
At any point in time.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and you have a pleasant evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Good night. So thank you guys for joining me. It's almost right at that hour and a half where I know after that people start to turn into pumpkins. So please join me next Wednesday. We'll put the time up. I will be interviewing the hosts of True North Paranormal out of Canada. John and his wife, who are there, have a TV show up there. Please go check their channel out as well. They have a lot of really informative videos. They're great. So that's going to be on the 9th. And then I will actually be out on a investigation myself the second week of September. So 16th, we won't have anything for you, but then we'll be back the week after that. So subscribe to all my guests who have been on the show. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And thank you for watching me. Have a great night and stay spooky.